Welcome to the Average Nobody's Podcast, the ultimate home for wrestling enthusiasts, beer drinkers, movie quoters, and pop culture connoisseurs. Here are your hosts, Matt and Ryan.
Hey, how's it going, everybody, and welcome to the Average Nobody's Podcast. My name is Matt.
And I am Ryan. R-I-A-N. I changed the spelling.
Isn't that how Ryan Johnson spells his name, the guy who's directing the new Star Wars?
Yep.
Right? I like it. It's a good change. Are you going to tell anybody, or are you just going to be like, okay?
But I'm not going to tell anybody, but then I'm going to get like very mad when people spell it wrong. I think that's a good plan.
I think that's a perfect plan. You guys know what this is if you're listening. This is the Average Nobody's Podcast. We're on Twitter, @AverageNobodies. We're on Instagram, @AverageNobodies. We're on Facebook, search The Average Nobodies. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TheAverageNobodies. We're a written word blog, AverageNobodies.com. I mean, is there anywhere on the internet that they can't find us?
I don't think so. No. Maybe on like the real weird porno pages.
Yeah, but maybe not Pornhub. Although, who knows? We got the doctor writing for us, so we could have some backlinks on Pornhub, and
we could be all over there.
Yeah, so who knows? But if you're listening to this and you enjoy it and you enjoy listening to us, please go over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. It really helps us because it helps the podcast get found by other people, and it's very selfish of you if you want to just keep us to yourselves. We want to be spread across the world. So go over to iTunes, leave us a review. If you're listening to it on Stitcher Radio, which is for all you Android users out there, leave us one there as well. And you can also just listen to it on YouTube, youtube.com/TheAverageNobodies. So before we get in, we're everywhere. We're literally everywhere. Before we get into who's losing against the internet, I just wanted to bring up that I've been watching the Defiant Ones per your not request, per your
you will watch it.
Ryan had me chained up and forced me to like Clockwork Orange, had my eyes pinned open. Per your suggestion is what I was trying to say. Told me to watch the Defiant Ones, which is the HBO documentary about Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre. Right? It's like that's so far. I mean, I've only watched 2, but that's what the gist of it is.
Yeah, so pretty much it's cool. It like chronicles their simultaneous rise, and then eventually when they meet up to present day, because they're business partners now with like the Apple deal with Beats and all that type of stuff. So it's cool. Just the way they set it up with, because they're both lifelong music guys, but Jimmy more of the behind the scenes producing and stuff like that, and Dre obviously, and Dre kind of similar too. Like Dre is his face and he's a household name, but he's not necessarily like a vocal artist.
No.
Like you can tell he's much more comfortable just making beats for people and being in the studio and stuff like that. I
love how many episodes are there total? How many sections of it is
4.
there? It's 4. So I just finished 2 last night. I finished 1 and 2. I think it's fascinating how they're doing it. They're showing, like you said, their simultaneous rise, in the music industry, like 2 different sides of it. Really, I mean, Dre does a little bit what Jimmy does, but I love how their paths haven't crossed yet at all. And this is the 2nd episode, but they're showing like it's just so entertaining, like seeing how like on both sides how they're both coming up, and I'm so curious to see like where their paths eventually cross.
I'm pretty sure it's the next episode. Yeah, it has to be. And it's really cool. I won't spoil it for you, but it's just cool, and it just shows you how like Jimmy Iovine is always like on the beat of what is hip in music.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem like that type of guy though.
No, he doesn't.
It's so weird. It's like he dated Stevie Nicks and like all this other stuff, and I would never place this guy with a giant unibrow for that guy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
His pictures from back in the day are hilarious of him in the studio with like Springsteen and Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, that era you could pretty much look like whatever you wanted. Like nobody gave a shit.
Yeah, I love it. He's the ultimate story of snake it till you make it. He was
absolutely.
He got fired for sweeping a studio, and then he gets hired as an engineer, and then one day Bruce Springsteen needs a producer. Like, okay, that's just the way it goes.
No, all right. Yeah, it's just the boss.
And he just produces Born to Run. So that's how that. But I'm obsessed with it. I like went online now, and I'm like looking. Last night I spent after I shut it off the second episode. I went in bed, and on my phone I was looking up on YouTube like scratching tutorials, like how like DJs scratch and stuff. And now that's my life now. That's all I look up.
Hey.
Is that stuff. So who knows? Maybe
It's not a bad hobby.
Maybe you'll see me in a club someday. Oh, he's so bad. Oh, he's so bad.
This is beyond bad.
So, all right. So anyway, let's get into who's losing against the internet this week. Title pending, but let's get into it. Let's get into the battle.
I mean, the first one is wide-ranging, but so true. And it's the human race. That story is the kind of frightening.
Sorry, I just played the intro over you because I forgot that you can't hear it. But it was just so you know, for your note, it was the it's the what the hell is his name? It was from WrestleMania. The guy, Let's Get Ready to Rumble. The
Michael Buffer.
Yes. So it was that. Just so you know.
Okay.
But yes, the human race. It's just for this first one, we're getting really ahead of ourselves with this. But the entire human race went against the internet this week.
Yeah.
So do you know anything about this story?
I do. I read it on Barstool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
And I mean, I didn't look too much into it, but from what I read, it's crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, Facebook made this artificial intelligence that created its own language, and the people who created the artificial intelligence couldn't understand the language, so they shut it off. They stopped it. And that was it. I mean, and then they came out with a report later. I don't know if you saw this, but afterwards they came out with a report, and the reason why they created their own language was because our language, like our coding language and like regular language, was too slow for the artificial intelligence.
Good.
Excellent, right? Friend, that's what you want to hear. Listen.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm on Stephen Hawking's side on this.
And Elon Musk.
It's just like, yeah, like you can't, like, the more you create with these things, the better the technology gets. We're not going to be able to keep up eventually.
Eventually,
we're not as smart as we think we are.
No, and eventually you're not going to be able to just shut it off.
No.
Has anyone seen Terminator? This is Skynet. This is what happens.
Yeah.
This is the beginning.
James Cameron knows what's up.
Yeah, that's it. It's going to be over. So that's a wild story that we literally had. This is the first. How is this not bigger news? Is my question. Like we had to shut this down because Donald Trump's president. So really, there's always
that's the thing that stinks. Like you can't even have like funny, cool discussions about stuff going on. Like that immediately gets put to the back burner because of something stupid that he or someone in his cabinet does. Like I would love to just talk about how robots are going to overtake us very shortly. Yeah, but we can't. You got to move on to something else.
I'm all about technology, and I'm all about like technology helping and changing everyday lives. I have two little things that I plug into the wall upstairs that turn my lights on in my living room at sunset every day, and then turn them off at like 11:30. So just like I constantly have lights going on and off, just like for when I'm not home or whatever. But like that's great stuff, great technology. But there's going to be a point where we need to stop. We need to be like, enough is enough. This is helping us enough. Like, now this artificial intelligence is probably going to leak its way into my car someday. It's going to take a hold of the wheel, and it's going to drive me off the Newport Bridge. Like, that's what's going to happen.
Because if you think about it, like, language is the basic foundation of anything. Like, whether it be robots, humans, like, you got to communicate first before you can do anything. So they got the language part down very quickly. And from there, who knows?
Yeah, it's
like who know? Once they can speak to each other and we can't understand it, we're fucked.
Yeah, it's over.
We can't stop them.
It's over because everything now, especially everything, is connected via the internet. Everything. Yeah. You can't buy a refrigerator now without it having to be connected to the internet. So once technology starts talking with each other like that, it's over. And Facebook, think about who. There's not one thing on this earth that people are more connected to via technology than Facebook. It has the most active users of any social media platform. There's nothing that is connecting to the internet that more people are a part of. It's Facebook. So imagine how much, it's crazy. That
goddamn Zuckerberg. Well, I think, I've seen a lot of rumblings of Zuckerberg's going to be running 2020. He just hired like a Hillary Clinton like pollster, like someone who goes around and like gets polls to see like how he's doing, and he's definitely running for president in 2020.
What is his platform going to be? I'm smart, right? I mean, that's what you have to run on.
If you don't vote for me, the robots will get you.
It's a threat. It's a threat.
I mean, it might work.
Listen. I don't. At this point, I really don't have a problem with anybody being president. To a point. Like, I hope Kid Rock doesn't feel like just because he's running for Senate, he needs to also run for president. But I just think like Zuckerberg might be good for us, and like if you had asked me that 3 years ago, I would be like, Zuckerberg, that's crazy. Like, why would he run for president? But look where we are. So,
yeah, I mean, now it makes as much sense as the situation we're in.
Yes. So anyway, the human race lost against the internet this week, but we have another one, and I don't know about this. I don't know much about this actually. So could you explain?
Yeah. So Willa Ford is her name. She was like a pop singer back in like the Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, those type of days. And her first song was actually a jam. You've definitely heard it. It's called "I Wanna Be Bad." Also, one of the sexiest music videos out there. I mean, she's drop dead gorgeous. Even now, she still is. Well, she's only 36 now, which is crazy. Yeah, it's called "I Wanna Be Bad," Willa Ford. But she was like basically like 18, 19 when she came out in like the late 90s. And came out with "I Wanna Be Bad." Like it was that phase. You had all the pop stars, you had the boy bands, and you had Britney Spears and all them. Mm-hmm. And then, which I didn't know this, her second single, like the one that was going to follow up "I Wanna Be Bad," came out the morning of 9/11.
Ooh.
I like hit the radios. This was going to be her big break. Clearly, which I didn't know. And then you basically never heard from her again. And I guess she was being interviewed recently, and she didn't blame her career on 9/11, but she kind of insinuated it. And it's like, it's not a good look. Like, you can't, like, I understand that that's bad timing and bad luck, but, like, could you not come up with another song? I mean, I don't know. It's just not a good look to go in and be like, yeah, well, the second single was supposed to be released on 9/11, but, nobody would talk about my single. They were talking about what happened. Oh, really? Yeah, they were talking about what happened. Thousands of people died.
Or you could just release it on another day. If you think that nobody heard your song because of something that happened on any day, right? Regardless of whether it's a terrorist attack or something else, if you think that nobody heard your thing because of whatever happened on that day, then just release it another day. Like do another re-release.
There's a lot of other things that she could have done to make, to still be good enough. Like if she was a good enough singer, she would have still been going. Yeah. And I mean, it's not like, like you said, if she released it on another day where people are going to be like, hey, wait a minute, I heard this the morning of 9/11. You can't release this a different day. Like, do whatever you want. Yeah.
So I'm assuming the internet did not take kindly to this?
The internet did not take kindly to it. I don't know if she's on Twitter or anything like that, but people, the only thing is, like, it's not necessarily hurting her because she just doesn't really exist as far as the internet. It's just like, she's foolish. She's an idiot. So, I mean, I don't think she was really going to be making a comeback anytime soon, but this kind of solidifies it.
Yep, the internet won today against Willa Ford.
The internet won today. The internet beat Willa Ford, and it's dominating all of us.
And so I have a message to the human race and to Willa Ford, and I'm going to play it right now.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
And Ryan, I know you can't hear that right now, but it's the end of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So you get nothing, you lose. Good day, sir. So
good day, sir. Gene Wilder, the best.
Yeah, rest in peace. All right, so up next, Roger Goodell is going to be not happy. He's going to be not happy.
See, this is an interesting story because he doesn't go to Foxborough for a good reason.
Yeah, for this reason.
For this reason, because you have the most insane and now one of the most influential websites and sports blogs out there, Barstool. After Goodell announced he's going to Foxborough for, I don't know if it must be the opener. It's like the banner ceremony. Like he's going to be there for that.
Yeah, it's going to be opening.
And El Presidente, Mr. Portnoy, the founder of Barstool Sports, personally ordered 30,000 Goodell clown towels. And if you don't know what that is, just type in Google Roger Goodell clown towel Barstool, and it's basically a picture of Roger Goodell with a clown nose, a red clown nose. And the thing that makes it interesting is, you think Robert Kraft's going to let him distribute those outside? Is he going to take it away from fans who have them?
I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do that, and I don't think Robert Kraft wants to mess with Patriots fans.
Yeah, but he doesn't also want to mess with Goodell either. Like, the owners of the league still love Goodell. They still, Goodell still makes these guys a lot of money. So if Goodell sends the word like, "Hey, this is bullshit, take care of it," I don't think Kraft's he's gonna side with Goodell.
But I
don't know if Goodell. What I think is gonna happen is Goodell will be there to be on camera for 2 seconds and then he's gone. Like, he's not staying for the whole game.
Yeah,
he's not. He'll be there in and out. But I'm interested to see like how like the towels are going to show up on TV. I mean, 30,000 is a lot of towels. It's not going to be enough for all the fans there. But
no, yeah, you're going to be about 40,000 short of giving everybody a towel. But
yeah.
But I mean, still, like, that's a lot, and I'm sure he's going to relegate it to certain sections. Like, he's going to like.
Yeah.
Like, if you have this section, like, come get a towel. I don't know how he's going to distribute them, but the way it should have been. Anyway, I want to answer your question before, but anyway, Matt Patricia wore the clown T-shirt getting off the plane, and I don't know if Kraft was on the plane or not, but I'm sure Kraft caught wind of it, and I don't know if he had an issue with it or not. But also, Kraft doesn't seem like the type of guy that really cares at this point. Like, the Patriots are fucking juggernauts. Like, there's nothing that Goodell can do to stop them. Even suspending Tom Brady 4 games didn't stop them. You know, like,
yeah, they still won, and now they have a better team.
Like, I don't know. I think that it's going to be a fine line, because I think at the end of the day, I think Kraft cares more about the Patriot fans than he gives a shit about Goodell. I think he's going to. I mean, I don't think there's anything that could really sour Patriot fans on anything to do with Patriots at this point. But like, think about that. Like, think about if I was walking into, like, and for you and I, like, we don't have the most solid relationship with our owners for our football teams, the Bucks and the 49ers. But imagine, like, going into a thing like that, and it was like some kind of like inside joke with like the fans, like this huge thing, and like you're getting them taken away or telling you have to put them away. It's not really like I don't think it's really a good look. I don't know.
It's not. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I can't wait.
It's gonna somehow be on TV one way or another. They're gonna be flying those things like the terrible towels, and don't put it again. I mean, don't. Those 30,000 towels are going there, but I could bet you, I don't know how much. I could bet a lot of money that there's a lot of stoolies that are showing up opening game with the Roger Goodell clown T-shirt on.
Yeah.
There's gonna
be a lot of Barstool that night.
There's gonna be a lot, and that shirt is very popular. It's one of their best-selling shirts in Barstool history. A lot of people have that shirt. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the shirt they show up with day one, or at least like they wear it under their jerseys and then they pull it off when Goodell shows face on the field, or however he ends up showing himself. I think Barstool should have doubled down on this and got people T-shirts, because you're not gonna pull T-shirts off of people.
No.
You know what I mean?
You can take a towel, but
yeah, I think you have to. I think you have to at this point. I think you have to spend a little more money and get people shirts and hand them out and get people to put them on.
Yeah, because it's not like they need the exposure, especially at like a Pats game. But just think of like how insane that's going to be.
Yes.
And the thing, and a lot of Pats fans feel the same way as like El Prez and Feidelberg and them. Like and it's true. I mean, I'm not a Pats fan, but I still side with Brady in the Pats over Goodell. Like, that was a bullshit witch hunt.
Oh, absolutely. It was ridiculous. Yeah. It was the most dragged out, ridiculous thing ever in the history of the NFL. It was crazy.
Yeah, and it's the people are still talking about it. And now, I mean, and you look at their team now, it's just like, well, they're better somehow, a lot better.
So it's going to be awesome to watch that first game. It really is.
Yeah,
I can't wait. My favorite thing is I can't wait to see what Prez is going to do. He's so, when Prez is at his best when he has a vendetta against something and he has access to Twitter video. When he does his Twitter videos, like the ones, not even the ones produced with like this thousands of dollars worth of equipment, him on Sirius Radio, none of that. When he's pointing a camera at himself doing a selfie video on Twitter, that's when he's at his best. He's
thinking on his feet.
Yeah, he's been doing that since day one with Barstool. I mean, the night I think one of the funniest things he's ever tweeted was the video he put out after he bought Kurt Schilling's robe in the auction, and he's just like dancing in his living room, throwing money in the air with the robe on. It's hilarious. He's
one of a kind.
So it's gonna be curious to see, and I think there's a little piece of Prez that wants Goodell to throw the hammer down on these towels. Like, he wants them to be taken away.
It's a win-win for him.
Yeah. He probably would spend, if he knew that Goodell would put up a stink about this and like be a snowflake about it, as Prez would say, I think he would spend double and not have them seen just so he can get that reaction out of Goodell. You know what I mean? He's that kind of guy. So
yeah, I mean I can't wait to see what happens. I don't know. I mean I'm torn both ways. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but either way, Barstool's winning, and Patriots probably going to win that game too. I don't know who they're playing, but
it's not. It doesn't matter. It
matters.
It really doesn't matter. They could be playing the NFC Pro Bowl. It doesn't matter.
That's true.
It doesn't matter. Okay, so we have a winner for our
we do.
Game of Thrones contest. I don't have her name offhand, but we did award the winner, and if you didn't get a direct message from us, that means you did not win. But wait.
It's Jeanette Roche.
Jeanette, congratulations. She actually sent us over her address. I'm going to mail that out to her with a nice handwritten note thanking her for participating and for following us. I'm going to sign it in my own blood. No,
I don't want this anymore.
So anyway, if you did not win that, you're in luck because we are doing another giveaway, another pop vinyl figure. This time we're doing Daenerys Targaryen. So we got Jon Snow. Just got given away. We're doing Daenerys Targaryen. We're going to do the same thing, so keep a lookout on our Twitter. It's going to be pinned to the top. So if you see it there, you're going to follow us. You're going to retweet it, and we might add in a couple extra things you can do to get a couple more entries. I'm not sure yet. So keep an eye out to our Twitter for that.
That is going to be coming. So we gave away the ice, and now we're coming in with the fire.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of ice and fire... Hey. Let's get into TV Club.
Nice transition.
Even though we're talking about, it's not really a transition because we're talking literally about the same thing. We're talking about.
Yes, we are. That's true.
It's not as clever, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you appreciating me, Ryan.
Hey, no problem. I'm always supporting you.
So yeah, Game of Thrones season 7, episode 3, The Queen's Justice. What is? Sorry,
she got some justice.
Yeah, she did have some justice. What's your first reaction to this episode? What stands out?
Well, it was. I mean, definitely Dany and Jon meeting. Kind of cool that after all this time they finally met face to face. Multiple scenes together.
Mm-hmm.
Plot heavy episode. A lot of chatter. A lot of talking.
Yeah.
But kind of to be expected. They very rarely follow up like an episode ending with a huge battle like the.
What was Euron and
yeah. Like I mean, they have a lot. They're moving so quickly with a lot of these storylines. I think it's beneficial to kind of sit back and just have people explain what the hell's going on. I mean, there's so much shit happening. There's so many people dying. There's so many people moving. Like everyone's almost in a different spot every episode besides Cersei and Dany. I guess Dany stays still too, but. I mean, I liked it. I mean, it wasn't as action-packed as the other two, but I thought it hit a lot of points that it needed to hit, especially no Arya, no Brienne. I mean, Bran was kind of only in it for a little bit, but an important part.
Yeah.
We found out some disturbing things that he sees now, which is awful. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. I'll go into my favorite scene later, but what were your first thoughts?
My first thing is I absolutely loved the Jon Snow and Daenerys meeting. I was reading online. I read as many reviews as I possibly could just because I wanted to get more backstory on things I missed. But everybody kind of the same thing that rang true for all the reviews where people were saying, it's not as action-packed. It wasn't, super high level. But I kind of like episodes like this. If this is what we're going to get from Game of Thrones as a setup episode, I'm fine with that. Like, from now on, like, I'm okay with this being kind of like a lull. Because it wasn't even really like a super lull. It's just because since the penultimate episode last season, Game of Thrones has been on fire. Like, it's been absolutely next level. So for this to be like a calm episode, I'm fine with that. I love the quick, smart talking, like what you get from Tyrion and now from Jon Snow because he's such like a calculated leader. And so Daenerys is gaining some experience as well in that regard. But I just liked their meeting, and I liked the kind of back and forth between them. And neither one of them really wants to budge on anything. So it's kind of frustrating in that respect. But I love the Tyrion. The quote of the episode was when Tyrion, I forget what the exact quote was, but Daenerys was like, "Who said that?" And he said he forgets. And then she's like, "Are you trying to pass your something as ancient wisdom?" I thought that was hilarious. Like how he's always just quoting people, and she's like, she called him out on just like quoting himself.
Yeah,
that was.
Like
I mean, that was great, and that kind of showed. I like the trust is building between her and Tyrion for sure.
yes.
Yeah.
But the only thing is, like, a lot of his moves haven't paid off. I mean,
No.
like staying in Dragonstone now, while she's staying in Dragonstone, Tyrells are done.
Yep.
Tyrells are gone. Dorne's gone. So there's 2 of your major allies gone.
Yeah.
The Unsullied went to take out Casterly Rock, and nobody's there.
Yeah.
So now they're really just relying on the Dothraki at this point, and I think that had a lot to do with her eventually bowing down in a way to Jon Snow and saying, "You can take the dragon class, make your weapons.
Yeah. Well,
I'll support you. I'll give you troops," type of thing. Because it's like, I just kind of lost all my allies. So.
Yeah. I mean, we ended this episode with her finding out that her ships are gone, right? Or it was like mid-episode.
Yeah, I think it was between when she first met Jon Snow and then when she went to visit him.
Right.
Yeah, because, she knew, I don't know how much she knew. But, I mean, it's a smart move to partner with Jon Snow because, you're on Burn the Ships and they're just kind of sitting at Casterly Rock now. Like, how the fuck are they going to get out of there?
Yeah. Speaking of Casterly Rock, like, that was a great little... I liked that scene, like how Tyrion was explaining the battle, and it was like a roller coaster ride because you're seeing it play out in front of you, and he's narrating it. And at first, you're very confident that he's like telling this story. So you're like, the Unsullied are going to roll over these people, and they're going to take over. Like they're going to roll over the Lannisters, and then you see them start dying, like on the wall, and then all of a sudden it takes a twist, and Tyrion hasn't he did the sewer systems, and so he has a back way to get in there, and you're like, oh shit, they're going to take it, and then come to find out none of the Lannisters are really there, and they're off taking Highgarden. So I kind of that was a really clever scene, and I liked the way they did that. That was really cool.
Because at first they set it up like the Unsullied had a disadvantage, then the Unsullied had the advantage, but they had an advantage kind of over
nothing.
Over nothing.
Yeah.
Another little part that I really liked it was like comical with Dany and Jon Snow was when they introduced Daenerys as like the breaker of change, freer of change, or breaker of chains, mother of dragons, blah blah, and then Davos is like, "This is Jon Snow." He's like, "That's it." Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of nicknames. It's just him. I thought that was really funny.
I loved that scene. That was really funny, and I like it. Just shows like, so Daenerys is, she's like in this scenario, she's like the polished politician. Like she has everybody on the same communication. Like their PR team met beforehand, and they're like, okay, here's how we're gonna position ourselves. And then you have like the scrappy pulling him up by his bootstraps, like Jon Snow and Davos, and he's just like, it's almost like Davos was caught off guard, and he's like, Jon Snow. And he just like puts.
Yeah, they're not used to like speaking of royalty or anything like that. So it's like, oh, it's just me.
Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. Although he did have a lot of experience because he did the same thing with Stannis. So it's kind of odd. I guess he just figured Jon Snow doesn't really have any nicknames or any nicknames that they want really to get out, because then you saw like Davos start running his mouth about how he took a knife in the heart for his people, and then he kind of like Jon Snow was like, oh, you should probably just shut up right now. Please be quiet, please.
See, now why? I mean, if it was me, I'd be like, I rose from the dead. Like that'd be my first talking point.
I think my immediate reaction was like, why wouldn't you want to lead with that? Like you just said. But then I thought about it afterwards, and I guess like think about this: if you're trying to convince this queen that there's people rising from the dead in the north and that they're bad guys, and that this is happening at all, and then you explain to her that, oh yeah, I was also killed and I was brought back from the dead.
But I'm the good one. I'm nice.
The thing is, though, if Melisandre was there, and I know that Jon Snow and Davos don't really want her to be there, or they would, he said, I'll kill you, whatever. But like, if she was there, she could have been like, I brought him back from the dead. Like that's legit. And I don't know how much clout she has with Daenerys, but just another person's word to take, to kind of take.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And her and Varys' little encounter was interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting. Why did he like threaten her to be like, "Don't come back," or like, "You shouldn't ride back"?
I don't know. And like, why did she say that they're both destined to die in Westeros? Like, is there some prophecy?
I don't know.
Because I read a really good article. I read a really good article of why she's going to Volantis.
Why is that?
I put it in the notes of the Google Doc. I mean.
Oh, the Up Rocks article.
Yeah, but basically the gist of it is the rest of her order is there.
Yep.
Like, so it's like the Red God, the Lord of Light, the Heart of Fire, and the God of Flame and Shadow.
Okay.
That's like her mystical order, and
Yep.
she's going to get them and bring them back.
So who's the Lord of Light? Is Beric Dondarrion the Lord of Light, or is that just like he's the god that we don't know who that is?
I don't know. He might be.
But like Beric Dondarrion serves the Lord of Light, we know that. But are we not for sure that he's not the Lord of Light? You know what I mean?
He might be.
He could be,
he's the one who comes back from the dead, right?
Yeah, he's the one who the Hound kills him in a cave and he comes back from the dead.
Yeah.
Like without Melisandre's help or without a Red Woman's help, right? He just comes back.
So he has some type of so he must be part of that order as well.
Yeah. I would assume
because I think she realizes that she needs her entire order, all these gods and lords and all that shit to eventually beat the Night King and all them.
Yeah. So that was interesting. You're right. That was very interesting for why he said or why she said like we're destined to die in Westeros. I'm very intrigued and very confused about Varys at this point. Like, I don't know what his deal is. There's got to be more to his character now. Like now that like way more than meets the eye. Way more than before that I thought.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like maybe he has something to do with all this. Maybe he has something to do with the order.
I feel like he's got his ear and he kind of knows a little bit of everything. So he might. Yeah. He always knows more than he leads on, which is interesting.
Yes. Yeah. So, do you want to talk about Cersei?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So she was fucking ruthless this episode. Absolutely ruthless. She got her prize from Euron. And it was why I always forget her name. The Dornish queen. Why do I always Ilaria. And one of the Sand Snakes, who I actually thought all the Sand Snakes were dead. Didn't realize that one of them was still alive.
Which makes sense now why he kept one of them alive.
Sure, absolutely. So, and then Cersei went down in the dungeons and was like, I don't know, very pissed off, and then poisoned one of the Sand Snakes the same way that Ilaria poisoned. What was Cersei's daughter's name?
Marcella.
Marcella poisoned her, and then the fucking most ruthless part of all of this is that she's chained up across from her daughter, and Cersei wants to watch her daughter die. So she's going to make sure she lives to see it. And then she tells the guards to make sure they change the lanterns, the torches every so often so the light won't go out. That was ruthless. Absolutely ruthless.
So that's like a long-term, just real messed up thing.
Like she wants her to watch her daughter die and decompose in front of her.
Yep.
That's
vicious.
Wild. Now, I read something interesting online about this, and I don't know if you saw this as well, but imagine if she didn't actually poison the daughter and that she's just trying to drive her fucking crazy, and then she's going to kill her some other way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because she'd probably just die of starvation or something anyway.
Right? I mean, just imagine her imagine thinking that and then just drive playing head games with her and driving her crazy and then pulling another card or something. I don't know. I read that as a theory. I thought that would be super interesting. Instead of just
it would be. I don't know how they would pull it off because I feel like that's we're not going to see Ilaria and the daughter anymore. Like they're as far as on camera wise, they're done. I think they're done. Yeah.
Oh, damn. I do. See, I don't know. I didn't think of it that way. I guess you could be right, but I guess I didn't see it that way. Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt like a send off. Like people, they never really got their chance, but they weren't the most interesting characters. The Sand Snakes and Ilaria. Once Oberyn died, it was like, oh.
Yeah, she was almost
charismatic guy.
They didn't really introduce her as her being her own character. She just was there with Oberyn, and then when Oberyn died, it almost seemed like they're catching up to like make her own character again. So, and then of course the daughters too. They kind of didn't do a good job introducing them or giving them any kind of backstory. But
no, and then it was cool because I saw saw a picture online, like the way they filmed the kiss scene with Ilaria and Marcella, and then Cersei and I think her name was Tien, the daughter that she kissed.
Yeah.
For the Sand Snakes, like it was filmed the exact same way. It was the exact same kiss, like Cersei and Ilaria both like put their hands like both hands over both cheeks.
Yeah.
Gave like the same kiss. So it was filmed the exact same way.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool because it's literally the exact same thing, just opposite characters.
Yep.
A cool thing that I was thinking of too, and this is just staying on the Cersei thing, is how because there was a lot of, I know when Dany and Jon Snow talked, there was a lot of talk about, who their fathers were, like who Daenerys' father was. He was the Mad King.
Yeah.
And Cersei's father is obviously Tywin. And it's weird how it's an opposite of Cersei is Tywin Lannister. I mean, she's ruthless. I'm going to win. I'm going to protect my family. If I can't protect my family, I'm just going to go insane as revenge. But Daenerys is like being the opposite of her father. Like she's not the Mad King. And, she explained that to Jon Snow, but even in her actions, if she was the Mad King, she would have sent the Tyrells, Dorne, Dothraki, Unsullied, and just murdered everyone in King's Landing.
Yeah.
And taking it from Cersei, burned everything to the ground, killed everybody. That's what the Mad King would do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of backfiring on her that she's not the Mad King. I mean, she's trying to take the diplomatic approach, but
yeah.
I mean, it's not that I don't think it will work out in the end. It most likely will, but at this point, sitting back and waiting for good things to happen while Cersei is almost being a Mad King in a way, a Mad Queen.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's like the father-daughter aspects for both of them, where one is being like her father and she's winning, even though we consider that evil, and one is like resisting that evil, yet is losing. Yeah. So it's almost giving you the sense of like, which is kind of always been Game of Thrones' thing.
Yeah.
Like if you're not a piece of shit, you're not going to survive.
Yeah.
You either have to be you have to be like a warrior, or you have to be a con artist, or you're dead.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
But it's interesting, and that they're obviously going to play with that at least till the end of this season. I mean, I don't know if Cersei is going to make it to season 8, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
I imagine she will, right? She just seems like she's so firmly in power and so in control that I think that she. I mean, unless Jaime turns around and kills her or something like that.
That's what I think. That's my thought.
That's what you think is gonna happen. I mean, at this point, though,
he's getting there.
Yeah, I guess. Although he was pretty comfortable with just laying in the bed while the servant came in, and he was like,
love how they just they really play loosey goosey with incest. Like,
just this is what it is. I mean, but you know what the thing is, like at first, like I know that like he's kind of like shying away from it now, even though like we said last episode, I think we said that last one, like literally there was a point in time when Jaime was trying to rape Cersei over their son's dead body. Mm-hmm. So you had that. But now you have like kind of like Jaime resisting a little bit, like not being super eager about it. But now he's kind of like fallen like kind of comfortable with it because he does like this is crazy. He does love her. Like that's like like he's and Cersei is not afraid to show it, not afraid to hide it now. But did you notice?
Yeah, that was interesting. Just like having her be like very upfront about it. Someone knocks at the door, like doesn't give a shit. Where before she would be. Hiding it.
Yeah. Did you notice anything funny about that? The maid that answered the door, it was at the door.
No.
So because something struck me as strange about her, right? So I looked it up.
Was it the haircut?
Well, the haircut was odd. Yeah, it was like the same as Cersei's. Honestly,
same as Cersei. Yeah.
Same. But maybe now she just maybe it's like the Kim Jong-il's type thing, where like she's making everybody have the same haircut as her.
You think not to go off on a tangent, but you think he'd at least have a nice haircut. Like, if you're going to make people have a haircut, at least. Oh, jeez.
But so I looked it up in one article, and I forgive this person who wrote this up. I'm sorry. You probably did a lot of research. I forget what it was. It might have been Variety.com. they put up this girl was in Game of Thrones for as long as Cersei's been in Game of Thrones. She was
Really?
like, she's been around since the beginning, just like as a servant, like a very familiar face. Now, what does that tell you about her? Like, she's in good with the queen over there. Now, this is a perfectly placed door for Arya to walk through to kill Cersei, I think.
Yeah.
This is a familiar face that she can take and battle. And I would think if Arya was still riding south and this happened and I looked this up, I would think that this is what's going to happen next, like this season, this at the end of the season. But now that she's still going north to Winterfell, I don't know how far. But maybe that was like a little foreshadowing. But she's been in it since the first season, so something's up with that. You know what I mean? Like, such a throwaway character. Why would you keep her coming back? No one would really recognize her unless you did this type of research. You know? So.
Yeah, that's interesting. I read a good article too, just saying like eventually Arya and Cersei have to face off. Like she's really
absolutely.
the main name left on the list, but that they hope that they get some time together as like characters. Like she'll just kill her like she did Walder Frey, because they're very similar.
Yes,
they're very similar with their thirst for revenge. Yeah, the way they want to protect their family, the way. I mean, they're similar people, and, you know, to them, they're both doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So it'd be, I hope they get, like, extended screen time together, and it's not just, like, a one-off where she slits her throat or something.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that would be cool. That would be really interesting.
Yeah.
You want to ride north to Winterfell? Talk about Winterfell for a little bit? And fucking weird Bran?
Yeah, why is he talking like that?
I don't know. It makes me think that he maybe sees something that's happened to Sansa or something Sansa does. You know?
Well, he saw her get raped by Ramsay.
Well, no, so he saw. Yeah, that was odd. An odd way
that's gonna throw you off a little bit.
Yeah, that's an odd way to phrase it. Also, just to bring it up, I feel like if I was Bran, I'd just be like, no, let's not bring that up. I feel like she doesn't need to know anything about that again. And he doesn't need to bring that up again. But do you think maybe also that he sees something in the future that Sansa does that he's like, kind of like, I don't know. You know,
he might, because like he said, he sees like all things from all different like angles, all different eras.
Yeah, so who knows? So maybe he's seeing something crazy. Before we dive into what's happening at Winterfell, I know we talked about Jaime going to Highgarden and taking Highgarden. Do you want to talk quick about how Grandma Tyrell just came clean about killing Joffrey? Olenna, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to go out, you might as well go out just kind of saying what you want to say.
Yeah. I thought that
type of thing.
I thought that scene was great.
It was weird, too, because I didn't feel bad for Jaime, but like Holly and I actually fell asleep during the episode on Sunday. So Game of Thrones is losing 2-1. I stayed awake for the first two, fell asleep last Sunday, but we rewatched it. We watched like the last 20 minutes tonight, and Holly and I were talking about how, like, you don't feel bad for Jaime, but here he comes. He's like, hey, Cersei wanted to do these awful things to you. I'm going to give you a dignified way out. Here's some poison. Yeah. And then she's like, oh, by the way, your son's a cunt and I killed him. It's like, okay. Like,
it's Jaime's stuck so far in the middle in this show. It's crazy. It sucks.
Yeah, because like Olenna clearly didn't do it to hurt Jaime. She just hates Cersei so much. Yeah. And Joffrey was pure evil.
Yeah, pure evil. Yeah, that was wild. So now I wonder what's going to happen. I'm sure nothing will change because I'm sure she's still going to hate Tyrion. But like when if Jaime tells Cersei this, like, what do you think she's going to think about like Tyrion? I mean, he's still
That's
against.
That's actually what Holly was. Yeah, Holly said the same thing.
Yeah, like he's still against them.
Is she still going to go after Tyrion?
I don't know. Like the thing is, like he's still against Cersei right now, right?
Yeah.
But he was forced into that because they were trying to execute him because they thought they killed Joffrey.
Right.
So like at this, so I don't know what I mean. But the thing is, she's not going to apologize.
No.
She's probably going to figure. She's going to figure Tyrion's a bastard. He killed our father, and Tyrion doesn't know that Olenna came clean. So as far as I care, it's still Tyrion. You know.
And we already know that Jaime has a soft spot for Tyrion, so that could be the final straw.
Yep, that could be the final straw for Cersei. That's very true. Yep.
Where he's like, look, if you want to be mad at people, if you want to exact your revenge, that's one thing, but you can't be this misguided. Like,
Yeah.
And then I think
Totally.
things could start going south. Like, she's going to start losing battles because she's so focused on this thing. And Jaime's going to be like, I ever killed one Mad King.
I'll do it
If I
again.
got to kill another one, I'll do it. Yeah.
He might kill Euron and Cersei in one foul swoop.
Oh, that. What about that line?
Oh my God, a finger
From
in the
Euron.
bum. Oh my
Oh.
God, what a line! This is
What a
hilarious. Oh, I was
I
dying.
like him. I don't know. Like, we went out to dinner with Justine and Jeff last night, and Justine doesn't like him.
Oh, I
She's
love
like, oh,
him.
he's too much like a pirate or like a rock star. I'm like, yeah, but like you need that. I mean, I think you need, like, he's a different kind of villain. He's got charisma. He's not just like the Ramses and the Joffreys. Like they were just, dickheads and evil. But like,
Yeah.
you gotta have some type of likability with the villains. I
Yeah.
mean, he's obviously still a horrible person, but lines like that. I mean, that's I love that.
I always said I wanted to see more of the people from the Iron Islands because they're like pirates, like they're people of the sea, and that I've always been very attracted to that type of character in stories and in movies and things. So I love it. Like he's peak exactly what I'm after from the Iron Islands. I mean, his brother was kind of an old man and like didn't really do much, but like you see it a little bit in Yara and you saw it a little bit in Theon. He was kind of like the same thing. He was like an arrogant prick. Before he was Reek, he was like that. That's what the Pike people are. They're the Iron Island. They're the salt. They pray to the salt god and they go on ships and that's it. They're assholes. But I like it. I like it a lot, and I think he plays a great villain.
I do too.
My dad was dying laughing with the finger in the bum line. Dying, absolutely dying. Hilarious. So they tickled his funny bone. So.
Yeah, there you go.
So anyway,
But yeah, I thought that was a good interaction. I like that.
To get close to wrapping up, but back to Winterfell. So Littlefinger had a quote of all quotes this episode when he talked to Sansa. Do you want to read it off?
I'll read it off. Yeah, I mean, I think and it was definitely my favorite scene of the episode. I mean, there was a lot to like, but I just really like this advice, and it again goes towards the theory of he's going to be the one because this is how he thinks.
Yeah, I know.
So I think he's going to be the one to eventually take it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the quote is, and he's talking to Sansa, and he tells her, "Fight every battle, everywhere, always, in your mind. Everyone is your enemy. Everyone's your friend. Every possible series of events is happening all at once. Live that way, and nothing will surprise you. Everything that happens will be something that you've seen before." And it's genius. It's amazing because if you think about the history of the Starks, it's always what got them, what got Ned, what got Robb, what got Catelyn was just not being ready, not expecting it.
Yep.
But if you look at everyone as your friend, everyone as your enemy, every possible scenario playing out, which he clearly does, that's how he's gotten to where he is, then you'll never be surprised. You'll be ready for everything.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that scene. First of all, like you said, it brings the theory closer to fruition that he's going to be the one at the end that stands tall, because this is exactly what you said. This is how he thinks. This is how he's built himself up to where he is now, and he's come from literally nothing. But also, this brings Sansa in closer because all the time he has this weird wave that he has with Sansa. Like sometimes he comes off as really creepy and Sansa wants nothing to do with him, but then other times he comes and says this, and you can tell Sansa's like thinking to herself, that is exactly how I need to think. He's right. Like he's not just trying to play me, even though he probably is. Like this is exactly what he wants you to think. But that was a hell of a line. That was like the best writing. That's like peak Game of Thrones writing. That right there. There was a few other scenes in this episode too, like some of the things with Tyrion we were talking before. But that is awesome, and that is a perfect look into Littlefinger's mind.
Because I love the everyone's your friend, everyone's your enemy. Because even with his friends, he's also always picturing them as an enemy.
Yeah.
So if they're looking at backstabbing him and turning on him, he's always going to be a step ahead.
Yep, always.
Because he's already picturing them as the opposite. It's just so smart.
And that's why I think he's going to be the one that comes out on top. I really do. I'm really. It's more probable than not at this point. I can't. Because everybody's wondering. It's like, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Jon? Is it going to be Daenerys? Is Cersei going to keep her throne. Like, but nobody's thinking about Littlefinger, and it's very possible for him. He has an army, he has a kingdom, and like who knows what happens after Daenerys and Cersei wipe each other out, and then who knows what's going to be left of the Northern Army after the White Walkers come through. You know, he's going to be smart with his men. I never heard him in the hall of the chambers, the Lord Chambers of Winterfell, pledging his army to Jon Snow. I heard everybody else except for him. You know, here he came to help, but I didn't hear him pledging his army. So who knows?
I don't know. I'm just excited. There's so much happening. It stinks. It's only 7 episodes this season.
I know, and we only have 4 episodes left.
Yeah, it does help that it advances the plot. Like, you're not really getting episodes where nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like, even Sundays, it wasn't necessarily heavy on the action, but so much happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so much is happening in these episodes. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You're absolutely right. It's been awesome. It's been awesome. I'm super excited. So for next episode, what are you looking forward to? What are some like storylines?
I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on with Arya. Like, she's not featured at all, so she's gonna have to have at least a couple scenes in next week's episode. I'm interested to see how, like, if Jaime tells Cersei right away that it was the Tyrells that killed Joffrey, if he waits, like if we don't even see that next episode.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be interesting. I want to see more of the Hound and the Brothers Without Banners. We didn't really see them. We didn't see them at all this episode.
Yeah, none.
So basically, a lot of what we didn't see this episode, I want to see next episode. And of everything we saw this episode, I'm interested to see how Jaime and Cersei's relationship, if it continues to spiral downward.
I agree with all of that. I agree with all of that. I'm also very curious to see Theon and Jon Snow meet up.
Yeah.
Because I think that I gotta imagine Theon ends up back up Dragonstone now, right? Because he got picked up by one of his ships, and I'm assuming they're heading back to. So I'm curious to see what they end up, because they haven't seen each other since, back before Jon went to the Wall, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
So it's interesting. So we could have 2 big reunions next week. We could have Arya and Sansa and Bran, I guess, to an extent, even if he's gonna stop being a fucking weirdo.
You sit by the tree with a face in it.
Yeah. And then we have Theon and Jon Snow getting back together, and who knows where the Jon Snow and Daenerys plot go from here? Because maybe she gets more faith in what Jon's saying somehow, some way. So
yeah, I hope they continue to communicate. I hope they continue to have scenes together. I like they were good together.
Yeah. So, anyway, I think that's going to be it for TV Club today. Again, we're giving away Daenerys Targaryen pop vinyl figure. Look at our Twitter. That's @AverageNobodies. For that giveaway, we're going to have it pinned to the top of the Twitter. Probably, if you're listening to this on, it's Wednesday, August 2nd, we'll probably have it up on the 3rd or the 4th, either Thursday or Friday this week. And we'll let it run. I think we're going to do another 2 weeks, right? So not this episode of Game of Thrones. The following episode of Game of Thrones, we'll do the winner. We'll draw the winner. Does that sound good?
Yeah, we'll end the contest the Monday after episode 5.
Yes, very good, very good. And then maybe by then we'll have something for the last 2 episodes of Thrones. We'll do another giveaway.
Yeah, maybe even switch it up, do something for Facebook.
Yeah.
But either way, you should be following us on Twitter. That's where all our blog posts go automatically, and that's where we're very active on Twitter.
Yes.
So I think you'll enjoy us.
Yep.
2 moderately handsome, average physical activity white guys.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Ryan. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll catch you next week on the Average Nobody's podcast. Until then, make sure you like, subscribe, review, all the things. Do all the things. We're everywhere online.
Do everything. And thank you for listening, and enjoy this week's Game of Thrones, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Ryan.
See you, bud.